Hello everyone, it's Ozgun here. So this is going to be the last tutorial of 2023, and before I get to the video, I'd like to thank you, every one of you, for showing the best support for the channel and also for my music. So this support is the best motivation to make me keep forward, keep doing this, keep creating content and make more music. So in this video, I like to make a walkthrough of my latest release with Tommy Mays. We released Endless Vision in the beginning of this month with Clubwork, and in this tutorial, I like to show you channel by channel how we make this track, and if you're ready, let's get into that tutorial. Okay guys, we're in the FL Studio now, and let's start with the kick and bass. So the track is out for a month, and if you haven't listened it yet, I'm gonna put a link in the description so you can stream the track before watching this tutorial. So let's start with the kick and bass, because I got several questions about how we made it. It's actually pretty simple, but also pretty creative, you know, because we are in the faster BPMs and we are just combining the rumble, the classic techno rumble, I don't know, kind of groovy bass line. So this is the low end. It's pretty groovy, right? So let's break down all the layers. The kick I'm using is one of the kicks that I find in Splice. As I remember, this was just the loop, and I just got the one of the kicks. And for the processing, I got an LFO tool, but this is just a reverse shape, so I'm just taming the tail of the kick. I think it's not that much necessary since I cut the sample from here, but still I just wanted to, you know, make it like a puzzle, because in the sub there is the exact opposite curve of what we are using with the kick. So it's just making it guaranteed they are not gonna clash with the sub. I think other than that, with the kick, we have a decapitator, which gives a little bit of distortion. So without it, as you see, we are starting to get the click of the kick, and we are making the kick a little bit more grittier. And this is just an EQ to dip 300 Hz a little bit, and that's all for the main kick. And other than that, we got a top kick. So just an EQ, and when they layer together, they sound like that. So I'm layering them inside of a kick bass group. Actually, this is just the kick group now. And just boosting a little bit upper mid frequencies and the high mids with a shaft. So I got some click on the kick. I'm using disperser to just shape the phases of the kick. I think I showed disperser trick in another video while I was creating kicks from Serum from scratch. And if you haven't watched it yet, you should watch that tutorial. I explained the disperser there. So if you don't know what it is, basically this is just a multi-band frequency shifter. And I think it's gonna be easier if I deactivate it. It's just changing the waveform, as you see. It's shifting the frequencies. I'm not doing it with a, you know, with a rule. I'm just doing it what if I shift the frequency a little bit on the kick, if it's gonna be better or not. I'm just testing and tweaking stuff there. And other than that, we got an EQ like that. As you see, this is just to fit the kick better to the mix. As I remember, this EQ is made, you know, after in the final stage of mixing. I'm not sound designing my kicks like that in the beginning, but in the end of the production, when I have more sounds, it's time to coloring, you know, just removing some frequencies, boosting some frequencies to mix them according to each other with every sound. And lastly, there's a clipping going on, just to tame the click and a little bit of dynamics to make my mastering limiter job much more easier. And other than that, if you go to the sub, this is just a sample, but we are just putting a little bit overdrive, a little bit of clipping, and just get rid of all the high frequencies, equalizer, to just fit it to the track. With clipping and getting rid of the high frequencies, now I got some space for the real bass, which is this sound. It's a Serum preset. This is how it sounds without processing. With processing, I'm getting rid of the lows and just shelving the high frequencies out. And I like to use Virtual Mix Rack from Slate Digital. So they offer very good, analog chains. And I'm just passing through my bass from this chain. So there are some console simulation, some analog EQs. Stressor is kind of like a compressor. So the revival, I'm just boosting the low frequencies a little bit. It's not doing that much stuff if I deactivate it. As you see, just a small stuff. The first four four modules are already muted. So I'm just using the trimmer. It's kind of like a clipper. And also I'm just using this revival module. If you boost the shimmer, it's adding upper frequencies. If you boost the thickness, it's just adding lower frequencies. So it's just to make the bass a little bit more fat. And other than that, we got a Saturn, and it's just adding a tape drive, like 40-50%. That's all. There's nothing else, just an EQ. And all of my kick bass are grouping in here in a kick bass group. And in here, there's something weird going on. So I learned this trick from one of the master classes I watched beginning of this year, as I remember. So instead of cutting the low frequencies like below 30 Hz, 20-25 Hz, if we make a shelf, it's gonna be more accurate in the phases. If you cut, all the waveform about the phases are gonna change, and I don't want it to change them. I just wanted to get rid of the very low rumble because I don't need those frequencies in this sound, in this key. Using a shelf is a good idea, so you can just reduce a little bit of low frequencies without cutting them, without affecting the phases of them, without giving bad artifacts to the sound. This is if you are on zero latency, you can use a shelf to get more natural sounding outcomes. I hope it makes sense. So in here, I'm also just boosting the very fundamental frequency, just a couple dBs with a dynamic band. So it's just adding a punch to the very sub root key. And also in the second octave of my root key, so my track is on D, the note of D. D1 is boosting, and D2, I'm just reducing the mid frequencies just a little bit. So there will be only side information is gonna be a little bit louder. So I'm just making my first octave more punchy, but it's mono. But also the second octave, I'm making it less mono, more stereo. So this is so subtle change, like I'm dipping just a 1 dB. I'm not sure if it's affecting the outcome that much. But yeah, if I deactivate the EQ, you will hear and see the, changes of the sound. Let me activate kick bass. You see, this change just make my low end more consolidated or more fat. You can name it. So this is the full low end of the track. So maybe we can keep checking the drop sounds. As you see, I have tons of stems. That's why I cannot explain how to make them. Just Tommy sent me those stems. If you have questions, you can ask him. We got some drums like that. Tommy already had some drums. But I just wanted to add one more hi-hat layer to it. And some techno rides. So the drums are kind of the drums that you expect to hear in a techno track. So let's jump to the 303. This is how I process it. This is the dry. And this is the wet version. In order to get rid of the reverb tail, because I wanted to add my own reverb, I just used the gate. So the gate is like that. When the sound is below a certain threshold, it's just, gating and muting the sound. So it was easier than to, cut the tails like that. Other than that, you can just use the gate in this kind of situations. With the Decapitator, just giving it some distortion. So this stage 1 is a stereo widening plugin. With it, I'm making the 303 a little bit more wide. We got some EQ to get rid of lows, a reverb, and other than that, OTT to glue the whole chain. And also I'm using isotope trash clip control, but it's like 20% wet only. And other than that, we got the sidechain. So that's all for the three sound. Let's jump to the other synths. So we got a synth shot like that. Again, pretty basic. Saturation, compression, and EQ. We got this rave synth. This is again pretty much same processing, some EQ, some saturation, and some distortion. Most of the sounds, this is all you need. The reason I'm not having delay reverb, because as you see, this rave synth already wet. So I just wanted to polish them a little bit to, you know, make it shine in the mix. So if we jump to the main sound of this track, which is this choir, and as you see, I got several different versions of the choir to, I don't know, make it fit to the mix, because we had a problem with this choir sound. I think this is the version that I processed it. So I asked the sound dry version from Tommy, because the stems that he sent me, it was sounding pretty wide, pretty amazing. But when I check it with the correlation meter with span, the problem was like that. It was just phase canceling each other, you know, when it was going in the correlation meter to the negative side. And when I put the master mono, the choir sound kind of vanishing, because they were left and right channels just merged together and they are phase canceling each other. So in that situation, I was thinking, what can we do to fix this sound? Because the way Tommy processed it was hell of a wide, but it has some monocompatibility issues. So I decided to get that sound from him, just process it with a trick, you know. It's kind of impossible to fix if the sound is originally phase canceling itself. It's kind of impossible to fix that sound, but you can make some tricks to make it work with the track. So I come up with a solution like that. This goes to the 41. This is the main sound that Tommy sent me. And let's check with the correlation meter. As you see, the meter is going to the negative side, which means we have some phase canceling issues. So my solution was like that. I sent this channel to a send, and in the next channel, I made it 100% mono, give distortion to the sound, I driven it, get rid of lows, just some EQ with tweaking, and that's it. Like, I just processed the original sound like that. As you see, the processed version, because this is mono already, is in the positive side of the correlation meter. So I decided to just layer the mono sound with the original sound, as you see. And now we got not phasing outcome. As you see, it's now on the positive side of the correlation meter, which means when I make it mono, it's gonna still sound good. So this is a good way to solve the, you know, phasing issues if you have. And other than that, guys, there's nothing special going on in the choirs. It's just delay, reverb, wave shaping, some clipping, sidechain, and also I sidechain it with Proceed 2 once more with the kick, because I thought this choir was kind of fighting with the kick without this. So this sidechain is only ducking the sound when the kick hits. You know, it's just to get the click of the kick. It's ducking very fastly when the kick is clicking on this. It's a subtle change, and also maybe you realize I'm giving up a little bit wet gain to make it more loud. And yeah, this worked pretty well in this case. And now I like to jump to the mastering project because I just get a stem render for all of the sounds and put it to a fresh project. And in here I wanted to master in a separate project because stem mastering gives me a little bit more flexibility. So this is what I did. Usually now I don't do this kind of cuts. I usually do a shelf and reduce it like that. But I don't know, in that case I just use the cut. And yeah, those are disabled. There's nothing else happening in here. I got a glue compression, just aiming for 3 or maximum 4 decibels of gain reduction here. And I didn't use those EQ and stuff. I got a Bristol channel in here. This is kind of like an analog simulation. You know, it sounds like I'm just mastering it in an analog console. I'm just gain staging in here. So I'm just putting this Bristol in the master and it's kind of adding some, you know, some hiss, some analog machine kind of vibe. There are plenty of different plugins for that effect. And lastly, I got a Ozgun and everything below 150 Hz become mono. And I boost a little bit of low mids and the high frequencies to make my master more white. And after that, I'm just going to the clipping mode in the maximizer and I'm boosting the track until I got something like -8, -7 RMS values. And that's all, guys. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple mastering. And yeah, this is how we made Endless Vision. I hope these tips and tricks are useful for you and you can apply this to your own productions. So today that was it, guys. See you on the next video. Bye bye.